Hey everyone, welcome back to Gaderian's podcast. This will be the third episode of the first season. I'm Vaz, and your host, and today I'm joined by Iilah, who is one of the admins from the clan of the Unbound.
Hello, everybody. As he just stated, my name's Vim. I'm currently a head of house in Unbound, as well as an admin, as stated. And I mean, there's really not much else to it.
Yeah, we're just out here chilling on Gaderian, and we wanted to talk about a project that we have in the midst. Or really, I guess it's more of a concept of a project. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, it's still in the works quite a bit, still a work in progress.
Yeah, but essentially what we are hoping to achieve is a full map of the Day of Dragons Genesis map. I said map a lot in that sentence. And it was going to be using I guess it's a cartography service technically called Incarnate. I think some people have heard of it, but
Yes.
I know you actually used it to make our Unbound home map for our role plays. So
Yeah, so I made it for the mountain that Unbound NRP lives on. It's obviously not finished yet because we don't really have an official map yet, and is still subject to change depending on how things end up. But I mostly made it out of fun to start with, but we also figured it would be a good idea to possibly expand it into the full map of Gaderian once Genesis arrives and we get our mega map.
yeah, and the hope was that we could overlay it onto some kind of web service that was interactive to be able to put your coordinates in and use it for navigation. But I feel like that is very far in our future.
Absolutely. It would definitely take quite a bit of work, and we have quite a bit to also prioritize, of course, like people's different territories or where people are actually going to live with their specific coordinates before
Yes.
we do something like that, I would say.
Well, and we're also in the process of going through a new rule philosophy as well, because I think we've realized some of the shortcomings with the current rule scheme we have, and are likely going to lean towards a more Isle-esque kind of rule scheme.
I'm sorry, you actually broke up there. Could you say that again?
Yeah, so we're going towards a more Isle-esque rule scheme to replace the one that we have currently. I was wondering what your thoughts on that were.
So I don't think the rules are bad in the Isle at all. I think it has some pretty fair things when it comes to fighting. Like, I'm not too sure how I feel completely about recalling before attacking, just looking at the realistic aspect on there. But I think that there does need to be some set rules just so it's not an all-out deathmatch server. And I also believe that once we get clans in, each clan's individual lands can have their own rules as well.
Right. And for anyone who doesn't actually know what the Isle is, it's a dinosaur survival game. I have a feeling that most of the people in the Day of Dragons community know what it is, but just in case they don't, that's what it is. And really, it came from the idea that this is a survival game, and that dragons are creatures. We don't have any kind of written language or anything from the lore yet, so it made sense to me to bridge the topic of a more, I don't know if the right word is primitive kind of rules scheme, but that's at
Oh no, that
least
makes sense.
what I was thinking.
And I think as time goes on, we can refine our rules depending on input and what people like and dislike.
Yeah, I
So,
agree.
like, if some fighting rules end up not so great, we can easily edit them.
Yeah, I definitely think that the Isle rules have a strength when it comes to hunting, though, as
Absolutely.
not every dragon that crosses the threshold of Gaderian is going to want to just hunt the AI. That's not fun.
Oh, no, no, no. And that's when I think I brought this up to you before, Boz, but that's when it came to mind that I felt maybe, yeah, the clans will have their own rules in their own lands, but in the lands that don't have any clans, just these open wild lands, I feel that maybe then we can have more of the hunting, open hunting rules and abilities to attack, because from there people are going to mostly be nomads.
Yes, that's a very good point because, well, we'll have an actual clan system as well, so I could also imagine nomads forming packs, if you will, that are independent of actual established member clans. It's a little confusing considering the Gaderian member clans versus what just a natural clan is, but
So I was actually thinking on that idea. Perhaps it wouldn't be too horrible of a plan to have the once you reach a certain amount of people, apply to be an official clan, make a Discord and whatnot. But when it comes to like small packs of creatures, I believe that if it's under a certain number and you're grouped together, we can make a certain term for that. Probably just packs.
or collection, consortium, whatever tickles your fancy.
Yeah.
And I think we did try to address that at least with the recent amendments to the codes, which did pass. But I believe that that's going to be revisited almost probably the first week when Genesis drops.
Absolutely.
There's so many unknowns right now.
Mm-hmm. And of course, after Genesis drops, all the free grows and everything are probably going to drop as well, just simply because I have a feeling that a lot more people are probably going to visit this game once it actually becomes more of the game they envisioned.
Yes, that is the hope at least. As far as the growths go, though, in the current version, I don't mind growing people. It's just it's a sleep simulator at the moment. But
Yeah.
for grows though, I know the clans tried to address the issue of grows and some kind of point system when we originally founded Gaderian, and it was a guiding principle that we were not going to do that. Now, looking at the scale works and the Forgotten Realms, they do have some semblance of a point system. So I'm wondering how pervasive that's going to be here on Day of Dragons, because I know it's very prolific on the Isle.
So I'm a little bit iffy when it comes to point systems, and this is my personal opinion. I've just seen a lot of servers on the Isle become a little bit dependent on that system, and last thing I think I'd want to see for the server of Gaderian is for it to become almost a pay-to-win, if that makes any sort of sense.
No, it makes complete sense. And one of the ways that I think the Forgotten Realms and Scaleworks have tried to skirt that is making it a Discord chat point system, because we didn't have those bots when the Isle first set up that scheme. But still, the point system itself needs to be... It requires a lot of hands-on activity from administrators to make sure it doesn't get to that point.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I have no intention of moderating that kind of system.
No. That would take a lot of work, that's for sure, to the point we might actually have to have separate people for that kind of thing. And I also think it's just more natural and more realistic to not have a simple system like that. Just only really give out those kinds of grows and whatnot. Not from, I've accumulated 1,000 Discord points, but rather, oh, I was killed unfairly. I think that makes more sense than going through a point system. It just doesn't feel as realistic to me. And yes, I know we're playing a dragon game. There's really nothing realistic about that. But
besides
I do think that we should
realistic.
Oh, yeah. But I do feel like we should have some limits as to what we do. Kind of keep it as simple, but makes sense. If that makes any sense.
I kind of followed what you said there, but you said sense a few times, and I think you kind of lost me, but I think I got the gist of what you were saying.
Let me reword it. I think that we should have the rules, the growth system, everything simple as can be, just to make it more natural. Not super mega complicated, where we're all going to have to be constantly keeping track of that rather than playing the game for what it is. And it doesn't feel natural to me to just have people grow because they have a certain amount of points in their bank, I guess you could call it.
I agree, and that's what I was hoping to apply to the combat system as well. Because
Oh yeah.
at the moment, the rule is you have to two call twice. It's really bad. I don't know my own server's rules off the top of my head. But
Well, they're a little bit funky at the moment.
yes, so I can at least say that in my defense. But as far as those rules go, I was thinking of just allowing 1-2 call. Because really, if a dragon ignores that kind of call, in my mind, they're asking for it.
And for those of you who don't know, currently in Day of Dragons, the default threaten key is 2, unlike the Isle where it is 3. Just to avoid any kind of confusion, because that did confuse me at first when I first started playing this game.
Yes.
But when it comes to the 2 call, I think the only thing that really bothers me about the rules at the moment is if you are attacked and you 4 call the basically I give up call, you can just go. And mostly because I've seen that abused really, really bad, where someone will start attacking you, you'll attack them back, they'll 4 call and they'll run away. And you're not allowed to hit them because they 4 called.
Yeah.
I think that should definitely be refined, but I don't think it's a bad rule per se, but I do think it needs some more definition to it.
I would almost be of the mindset to completely void that rule. Leave it up to the choice of whoever has the upper hand, I guess, because realistically, yeah, you could submit, but ultimately it's up to the dragon that's attacking you whether they want to relent or not.
Yeah, and that's exactly how I've seen it in some Isle servers, and that makes sense to me. And I do feel that it could apply in certain areas. Like, say it's just a challenge for dominance or whatnot. Then it makes sense to have that 4 call rule.
A territorial
But,
kind of thing.
yeah, exactly. Or perhaps they accidentally attacked or something like that. You could follow it up with a 4 call. But I'm sorry, if I'm a really, really hungry dragon and I go to attack another dragon and they 4 call, I don't want to just give up on a meal, if that makes any sense.
They're dinner at that point.
I am saying that a lot. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's a good point to bring up, though, because I think at present the rules are a little oppressive to the Day of Dragons, really the idea of a survival game. And they're definitely more heavily influenced into the Unbound's founding with roleplay, which is another element that I'm hoping to scale back a little bit and make more optional, because, well, it's a great story. It's not for everybody.
Yeah. And I know that I am going to RP in this server, just because we've built such an RP in Discord. It wouldn't make sense for it to completely disappear in this. But I also don't think that it should be, unless people aren't following rules, I do think that they should follow the rules of the different clans, even if they don't roleplay. I don't think that roleplay should be forced on anyone if they don't want to, even if this may be an RP-based server.
Right. And it'll ultimately come down to whatever kind of control I think the clans will find appropriate for their territory. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to territory, after going through a bunch of different ideas of how to set up a system, I kind of think it's better to just say, defend what you can hold.
Yeah. Because dragons will be dragons. They want their land, they want their territories.
Yes, and I know you and I are going to be playing Plasma a whole lot when it comes out. So for us, it may not make as much sense as Plasma's to be hunkered down to one place.
Oh yeah,
how
and
far
that
they can range.
Funnily enough, that's actually why I created the Civ House in the first place. As you know, I wanted there to be a scout. I didn't want to hang around the clan the whole time. I can't stay still for the life of me, as you're seeing right now. That's why I wanted the scouts, and that's also why I wanted Iilah to have a sense of hunting within its ranks, because I want to explore. And yeah, it'll have a purpose within the clan, but still I want to be able to go around the map, within reason. I'm not going to just invade others' territory, but I want to go around the map. I don't want to stay still watching hatchlings. I've never been that kind of player in the Isle and anything.
Well, and with how big the map is going to be, I think it's set to be one of the biggest maps in a survival game yet. So there's way too much to see to just be idle, in my opinion.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's why a lot of people have gone Civ for that specific reason, is because they want to be more open to exploration, which makes
Right.
sense.
Well, and see, you've switched over to Iilah. I have reformed Yol into the Legion, and I think this is kind of one of the shortcomings of our descriptions as well, because I don't think people realize how linked the idea of the clan's military and exploration are.
Mm-hmm. And that was something that I was thinking about discussing with you, is whenever we go over the clan descriptions again, as have been talked about within staff, I believe that we should have different descriptions per each section of the clan for what it means in RP versus what it means in game.
Yeah, because I feel Iilah being the hunters, Sieve being scouts,
Mm-hmm.
Yol or the Legion being the army, those almost. The overlap is ridiculous. Like,
Yeah, and I feel that when it comes to the Warriors right now, it's obviously dead right now in the Discord in terms of the Yols. But I feel as this game really picks up and people want some action, we'll start to actually see more join the ranks.
yes, because right now the Guildfire are definitely outdoing us with formation practice.
Oh yeah,
And
I've seen it.
I've got to tip my hat to them though. Those formations are like they are pristine. If anyone who is watching this is in the Day of Dragons Discord, I strongly suggest you go to the screenshots channel and take a look at what they're doing. Even though it's just a V formation, it's pretty cool.
They're very well coordinated with what they do.
Yes, it's taken them hours though to get that first screenshot or so, and it was really
Oh
cool
yeah,
watching them fly over the ponds, and then you see their outlines. It's a little intimidating too.
it is. And I remember watching them actually just do their takeoff with just all roaring together and simultaneously taking off into the sky. It just looked really good.
Yeah, I almost want to do that V formation, but do groups of 3, and then make a
Yeah,
V, but with 3 groups of 3, if that makes any sense, or if you can
it
envision that.
does. I also feel that depending on the house that people are in within Unbound, especially when species are more worked out in the game with different speeds and such like that, it'll definitely need to be worked on a little bit harder. Because right now it's pretty easy to do a formation if you're all the same dragon at the moment, simply because you're all going the same speed. But flight is going to change massively. And if JO is adding stats to the eggs, who knows, some of us just might be faster flyers than others.
I will re-roll until I am the fastest plasma in the dang server. You
And I'm
don't
probably going to
even
play
know.
Plasma for a while, up until they release Hybrid.
Yes, you and I both have lovely hybrids. Ugh,
Oh, it'll be
the
great.
hype, I just can't. Well,
It's just
and
beautiful.
well, and Kez even made her character finally.
Yeah, I saw the art on her, and it's beautiful.
It was extraordinary. I'm still trying to recreate the egg for it, which I have actually finally found a mold to make necklaces for, so I should be able to send those soon.
Oh yeah, and the egg that you made for Vimlira is gorgeous.
Yeah, I'll try and attach an image of it to the video, but that egg was it was a chore. Never
Oh yeah.
again will I use that mold. No, never. But yeah.
And I think as you continue on, you'll get more used to it and probably be able to release more different types of eggs. especially with, I know the Opal project was very difficult, but it's really hard to achieve that fleck look unless you have like gold foil or such like that.
Yes, and another key issue was the dye I was using was not very translucent. It's just a straight pigment, so
Mm-hmm.
there's a few different variables to change and tweak, but I don't want to change all of them at once because then
Well,
I'm going to be in trouble. So
to be completely honest, the way that yours came out was, it looked like it was sprayed by a bio. It looked really neat to me, even if it wasn't intentional.
I never thought of it like that, actually.
That was the appearance that I got whenever I looked at it.
Interesting.
So, that's another thing to consider. Ooh, lots of dragons in the sky right now.
I know. It's so funny when they just fly past and they 3-call. It's like they're gliding. Yeah, alright, so we're coming up on time. So, last few remarks about eggs, the clan.
Did we want to talk about Iilah?
Yes, so I think we talked about them being hunters. They worship the Moon Protector.
Yes. So
Currently is in a bit of a phase.
yeah, which will get figured out here soon. Currently in roleplay, just to give some context, she's a little bit corrupted, and
A little bit.
I don't mean a little bit. She's quite a bit corrupted by who's going to be one of the big antagonists in the actual server. But her line is almost finished. We're coming up on the climax here soon. We just need to get past this scene on the summit.
Yes, and I think, are her and Flames going to come to blows? I don't know if that's...
Yes, so that is the plan, and that is one reason that I had her attack Talvesi.
Okay.
I wanted to cause a conflict because I feel like there needs to be a conflict, otherwise it's just going to be like, oh, Flames is there, oh, who cares? I need there to be some kind of conflict between the two of them. But at the same time, I do eventually want them to come a bit together by the end of things. Even though Flames isn't really close to any of the other protectors, he's kind of his own thing, I've come to find.
He's a dick. There's no other
Yeah.
way to say it.
But moving back a few steps, back to what Iilah is, yes, they're going to be in charge of hunting parties. And the reason they're going to be in charge of hunting parties is that they bless the animals, pray over the animals they kill, and it kind of releases them to Rosal in a more clean manner, gets rid of all the darkness throughout them, if there was any, which is going to apply to killing monsters more so than animals. But animals, it's more giving thanks for their sacrifice to us. Kind of a sign of respect. And the reason that we also want to bless monsters is because when the darkness is cleaned in the monsters, it becomes a light that pretty much feeds the protectors. Keeps their communication strong, keeps them powerful, more so than just, oh, we prayed to them today. That doesn't really do as much as we'd like, and that's why communication between all of them is really faded since Moon disappeared. And that's why it's not just going to be hunters, there's also going to be the hunters in the actual game. They're going to be called wardens. That's something that me and Kanrari have come up with. The other role that's going to be within Iilah is going to be ministers, which obviously aren't like the Christian type or anything. It's just their name. They're going to be more in charge of studying and learning how to bless darkness in order to cleanse it. So you know how we've had a few raging dragons in our server? Like full-on raging.
Yeah,
so
there have been a few.
Yes. If that were to occur again, or if a dragon loses themselves, usually what we've discussed is it's going to be almost because this darkness influenced them to go to this more bestial side because they lost themselves to this rage. And what Iilah's going to be able to do, what the ministers will be able to do, is confront them and cleanse them and bring them back to their senses.
I feel like
it's still a work in progress.
This is
a
very appropriate conversation to be having under moonlight as well.
Yeah, it is. But in terms of how that's going to affect us in game, I'm not sure. It's probably just going to be a mostly RP kind of role. Not the wardens, but the ministers themselves. But it kind of fills in that gap that we have right now for those kinds of blessings. Because all we have right now is more healers than anything, which is fine. That's something that I think every RP in this kind of world needs. But I wanted something to kind of help with the problem we were having with rage and anger and monsters.
Which are
And
the
with Vim,
common themes in the survival game, if I'm not mistaken, as we try to figure out how to grow to the blasted alpha stage.
Yeah, of course. And something I've actually been thinking about is I don't even think I'm going to have Vim reach an alpha stage, which I know I probably won't have control of that in the game, but in RP, I'm thinking she's just going to have an alternate form. Not anything extra mega powerful, just a form she takes when she needs to cleanse souls from really big monsters, because let's face it, eventually we're going to have elementals in our roleplay, not to give away too much.
Right, it's already kind of written into our history, but that's a whole nother conversation for another time.
Yep, quite a bit. But that's what Iilah's going to be. It's still kind of in the works, but we're almost done with it.
Right, so it was a wonderful introduction to Iilah, the Incarnate Project, and some of the thoughts that are going through the staff of Gaderian's server. So we're a little over time, but we're going to cut it here. I've been Vaz, and your host, joined by Vim, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
See you guys.